Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another conversation with Kelly. I am so glad that you tuned in today. And all I'm going to say is get ready to shift. And I have a special guest that's going to elevate us, enlighten us, empower us, and encourage us on today. So, again, thank you for tuning in and do me a favor, click the like button, share this video, share with your friends, share with the enemies. It doesn't matter. Just share it. There may be a little piece of information that could take their thinking to the next level. And also subscribe. Uh, we have some things coming down the road in June and July. You do not want to miss it. I promise you, every Power Pack guest is packing some powerful punches. So again, subscribe. And also, when you tune in, comment. Let me know where you are watching from. And if you holler at me, I'll definitely holler back at you. So again, welcome to another conversation with Kelly. These conversations are just simply, if you could imagine, you are at a restaurant talking to a friend or some relatives and just sharing some nuggets. So that's all we're going to do is share some nuggets that will empower and equip you to carry on even further in your journey in life. So today's topic is, it is time to shift. And full disclosure, back in 1987, my first car was an 87 Nissan Pulsar. It was standard. I had never driven a standard shift before, and I made every kind of mistake conceivable because I did not know when to shift. So that's what we're going to talk about today is it's time to shift. In the natural, there are two different mindsets, because that's what we're talking about, shifting your mindset. There is fixed, and that means you're not budging. You're not open to any suggestions. It's your way or no way. And that is only going to get you so far. Then there is the growth mindset that says, okay, that was a mistake. I made some errors, but let me learn how to grow. So again, we are going to grow from the mistakes that we made and get rid of, as Joyce Meyer says, that stinking thinking. Amen. So in the natural, those are the two things that I want to start out with. But in the spiritual, did you know that in the King James Version, the word mind is mentioned over 90 times? I'm going to let that sink in. In the King James Version, if you look up the word mind, it is mentioned over 90 times. So what does that tell you? God has a lot to say about what goes in your mind. And so I'm going to leave you with this thought and then introduce my guest. Comes from Romans 12:2. Do not be conformed to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. All right. And I am super excited that I get to bring someone on who is a powerhouse, who we were just joking behind in the green room. They'll catch that joke later. The green room. I said, Apostle, when do you sleep? She has such a busy schedule. But I thank her for joining us today. She is an entrepreneur. She is a strategic thought leader. She is a best-selling author of how many books do you have now?
Oh gosh, Miss Kelly, I don't even know.
A lot.
Yes, a lot.
A lot. And I guarantee you, everyone is anointed and powerful as God has given her the vision for whatever theme that is for that particular book. So again, she is powerful, best-selling author, and she is an apostle. So she is a woman of God. And I want to say, welcome to Conversations with Kelly. Woo, woo! It's been a minute.
Yes, it has. It has. Thank you so much for allowing me to grace my just to be in your presence, to be able to be a part of this movement. Thank you so much for that.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
When was the last time? I think it was dealing with, or you had just released the prophetic ethic
Prophetic ethics. Prophetic
book.
ethics. Yeah. Hmm.
Yes. And y'all, that was so powerful. We not only had part one, but we had part two. It was
Hmm.
that powerful. So,
Hmm.
again, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Well, we're just gonna just shoot from the hip. We're gonna just
Okay.
dive right in. First of all, what is a mindset?
Well, a mindset is a pretty much a habitual or characteristics mental attitude about the way we see things,
Mm-hmm,
view things, and interpret things. So,
mm-hmm,
based on our mindset, it was molded and shaped before we were even born, based on conception.
mm-hmm.
And when we were born, based on what we were introduced into by way of generation or generational imprint via DNA, and also as we go out in the world by way of society and also in school by way of accolations, the molding and shaping of our mind, our attitude, and our
Yes.
character shape our thinking. Also, by way of introduction of our philosophy, our belief system,
Mm-hmm,
kingdom will
mm-hmm. We technical difficulties. I know where she is. Okay, you're back now. You're back.
okay. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, I can. Go ahead. Go ahead. Are you able to hear us? Y'all, the enemy does not want this information to go forth. But how many of you know he is a liar? It is going to go forth because what he wants to do is keep us
Are
with that thinking.
engaging.
Go ahead, Apostle.
Okay. Anytime we are in a relationship or in exchange of language, or there is a shaping of our mind or mindsets. So that
Yes,
brings about our manifesting of who we are based on our
yes,
mindset, how we're shaped.
yes, yes. So when and
Can you hear
how
me?
did God first start dealing with you about shifting your mindset?
Okay, do you mind repeating that question? I'm sorry, there was
Oh, that's
I couldn't hear
okay.
you.
We know the enemy is mad, but he don't run
Hmm.
nothing. When and
Hmm.
how did
Hmm.
God begin to deal with you about shifting your mindset?
Oh gosh, through growth. And they were like, oh, that's easy to say. Well, through growth, because the thing about it is how God started shifting my mindset, or should I say, or breaking the normality of my mindset, is again through growth. And when I say growth, growth as the stretching of our growth. So sometimes when there's a stretching, we put up a wall and we say it's the devil,
Yes,
not
yes,
realizing that things or circumstance is allowed to strip us and to
yes,
test
yes,
not only the character, but test our longevity, test our, to
yes,
see if we're vigor, and then test our inner strength. So going through the process of growth, and then of course with hunger and thirst, and one searching for understanding to be able to interpret the impression. When I said the impression, why you think the way you do, why you are processing the way you do, the way you're wired. And in doing so, based on time spent with the Father and imprints, and again, that also helps with one being prophetic as well, because you're able to see the future and still not try to understand what's 10 years ahead, and you're still
mhm,
trying to grasp your present. So in doing so, what begun my initial interception or my disruption of change was I had to have surgery, and in that surgery there was limited mobility, and in doing so, I heard the Spirit of the Lord said, "Now that I have your attention," He said, "I did not call you to build your forefathers' blueprint. I called you to build a distribution center." Does the rewiring. So, which means my word does not return to me void.
Right.
But now that I have your attention, which means now that you are still and you're able to listen. A lot of us hear God, but we are not still enough to listen,
Yes.
to
Yes.
God. And a lot of us are listening, but we're still not hearing what the Father is saying. So now that I was still, and there was no, when I said is it Mary or Martha, that was so busy building, implementing, executing. Now that I was still in the process of the totality of my body to the core of me was still enough to yield to instructions. That's when I
Yes.
started to, the breaking and the changing and the shifting begun. And the realization of, hey, I was building something that has nothing to do with me and calling it legacy. I was doing this, and that's where self-check comes in. And we
Mhm.
start doing that. And then
Mhm.
I'm going to take a shift right here. So when those imprints or those images comes to us, a lot of us don't want to act on it, which means we'll have to break away of a regime or a system that we've been doing for 5+ years. And how
Yes.
do we tell a people that we have been serving and they have been serving us and we have been working together that you are changing, and you have to break the novelty or the system of what you have been building or erecting for years. So we have those, though they know that they're changing and they're in transition, they're not doing or making the change necessary for fear of fear of man's opinion. And so when I started doing so, and I now had to test the impression, which was the impression, the word of God saying, you're not supposed to be doing this. So when I started manifesting it, which means when I started executing and moving per instructions, I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Ooh, this feels a lot better. This right here. So I, at that moment, I tapped into the realization of what it is to be free and what it is to be liberated. Because upon now moving into the action of change, then the shackles, I could literally hear the shackles falling off, because I was now moving into the will of the Father. A lot of us think that we are in the will and
Yes.
we're not.
Yes.
We're
Yes.
only doing what we've seen. We're only doing what we know, and we're taking on the form of. Can I say it like that? The form
Yes.
of, and
Yes.
taking on
Yes.
the responsibility and the burden of someone else that has nothing to do with us. So we now imprison our destiny. We imprison our purpose, locked into, and we call it a mandate or an assignment, and it has
Mhm.
nothing to do with us. And that was my realization, that I was locking myself into what my foreparents had and now enthrust us, or they emerged themselves into. He said, I didn't call you to do that. And so the question said, okay, so you're bucking and you're rebelling against something, but you're still wearing the collar. And that's when my response will be that I had to wear the collar to go into some places, so I'll be able to speak yet release the word to set some people free.
Right.
So
Right.
therefore, when in Rome, do what the Roman
As
does.
Rome.
And
Yes.
so
Yes.
some don't understand, and they're still looking for the blueprint. Well, you're impossible. You're doing this. How come you're not doing such? I said, I have served every capacity of the fivefold ascension gift as possible. Been there, done that. And it could only take me thus this far, which means the frustration. And we don't, when we don't know how to identify the frustration of going and coming against the grace of God, we say it's the devil. Why we were trained to say it's the devil, because when we're experiencing a hardship or an obstacle,
We
we were
automatically.
trained again
Yes.
to
Yes.
say, based on that, immediately, based on our wiring, is the devil. But what God was doing, he allowed it to frustrate me enough for me to question, why am I going through this, and why am I just doing this? And that's when he told me, based on those that's asking questions, that this is not for you. Like, and I'm going right here, right quick sidebar. I remember last year I was praying and I was begging in God, and I was praying, asking for such and such, and he said, are you done? I just heard the Spirit of the Lord say, are you done? Why are you praying for something you have access to? That was a shift of my thinking. He said, "You're too low. You're too low." And he had to show me, "Come up here, hither." And when he showed me, I was walking upon kingdoms, which are mountains. He said, "This is where you at. This is where you sit in high places. And you're literally asking me for something that you have
That's
access
beneath
to,
you.
that you could
Yes,
decree
yes,
and declare." He said, "You are a
yes.
legislator. You are a policy maker." I'm talking about shifting minds and mentality here. And at that point, though I had access, and though I had authority, and though I have positioning based on sonship, my mindset was still low. I
Mhm,
was
mhm,
petitioning for
mhm.
what already belongs to me, which means I was disconnected from what my inheritance. Can I put it that way? Because
Yes,
what belongs to me, I decree and declare. I legislate the land. So,
yes.
based on, like you said, shifting mindset, it's about the mental attitude of how we interpret and we respond to situations.
Wow, wow, wow. Apostle, we could just open the doors of the church just on that. Can you turn on your camera? Is it, or is it still giving you some difficulties?
Yeah, my camera is on. It's not
No, ma'am.
okay. It's showing that I am. Let's
Hey,
see.
Miss
Now
Selma.
it's off. Now it's okay.
Hey,
Can you see me
Dee.
now?
Hey, Coach Danielle. Hey,
Can you
Jernisi. No,
can you
ma'am.
see me?
No,
Really? Oh, that's
but
weird.
that's
Okay,
okay.
let me.
We gonna go keep on going. We're gonna keep on going. I
Okay.
just thought maybe we could get your see your face.
Okay, I'm sorry. It's showing that I'm on and I could see me next to you. So, and now I'm
Okay, I
off.
see it
Now I'm on.
changing.
Okay.
Oh, and Coach Danielle says mic drop. I agree.
Okay.
Mic drop, mic drop.
Hmm.
But we're gonna keep on going. We're gonna keep on going. This
Okay.
has been powerful so far. And the thing that I realized more than anything during these last 2 years with these conversations, sometimes the enemy eavesdrops too, and
That's
he
true.
tries to block and hinder anything that will bring truth, revelation, knowledge, a closer relationship to God, whatever that would be, um, to block us from that connection, that stronger growth in God. So he ain't winning. So if we both have to be in black squares on the screen, the information is still going to go forth.
Okay, that's true.
All right. So what is evolutionary thinking? I noticed you're going to have something coming up dealing with that. Talk about that.
So evolutionary thinking is a broad. When I said thinking in a sense of conceptual and also abstract, which means it goes beyond. It's radical and it
Mhm.
goes beyond the limits of when I said conversation bounced back and forth. So my purpose for that or that mindset shift or that evolutionary mentality is let's sit down and have high level conversation, which means breaking the normality of the exchange. And in doing so, you're tapping into the barriers of one thinking limitation and that they're not knowing that they're limited. For instance, we are powerful beings and we
Yes.
don't see or
Yes.
recognize. When I said we are powerful beings, we are powerful beings because of our intelligence, which is the mind of the consciousness of God. But we don't see ourselves that way because we have been wearing labels: rejection, abandonment, hurt, molestation. We've been wearing labels for so long that we see through those lenses, and to the point where we give the enemy more recognition than who we
He
are.
deserves.
So therefore, huh? Yes. So therefore,
Absolutely.
we that means raising the bar of the conversation or the novelty of the conversation. Now let's tap into purpose, let's tap into being, and let's now talk, let's reason together. Let's now have that radical knowledge of change, and let's go beyond the normality of the barriers. Because again, even though we're on the line right now, we're talking and we're exchanging. So you have a worldview and I have a worldview. But when we raise the bar of our expectation, we're now having or we're tapping into the consciousness of Christ, which is now we're having high level conversation. And when we are in that, another way to interpret it is I feel the Spirit of the Lord. I felt the presence of the Lord. And when the Spirit of the Lord is rest upon you and you're in the spirit realm, you are so high in the spirit that there's no time. Only until you come down from that high place and you realize, oh, that's the time.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I've been
Yes.
out for 3 hours. What I'm saying is that because your mindset has been transcended into a realm of which means there's eternity where there's no time. So that's where our mind or infinite mind or revolutionary or evolutionary mind should be, in a place of high thinking, to the point where there's no time, and there's the synergy is so thick that we are feeding
Yes.
or charging each other, and we could go on for days and not realizing, because there's no hunger, there's no thirst, and we're feeding each other based off of synergistic conversation, and we're tapping into and we're charging each other and we're building each other up. Now, we do not have enough of those conversations. We do have it,
But
but we
not
have
enough.
low level
Yes.
conversation. And our
Yes.
low level
Yes.
conversation, how you doing? Good, you good? I'm blessed, I'm highly favored. Good, the devil is busy. We stay in those realms of
Yes. Yes.
conversations, and we're
Yes.
realizing that we're giving recognition to and affirming what is obvious, because if the enemy wasn't doing his job, then we wouldn't have our posture, we wouldn't have our stance, we wouldn't know how to fight, we wouldn't know how to defend ourselves, and we wouldn't really know who we are as our God's valued or treasured in the earth realm. We wouldn't know who we are as His chosen people. So what I'm
Yes.
saying is that
Yes.
we have to have more broad perspective, and a lot of, and I'm going to go here, Miss Ketty. A lot of us are highly intelligent, and what we do is entertain
Mhm.
conversation. We
Mhm.
entertain it because, and for those that are entertaining conversation, because I've been there, done that. It's like, okay, they're looking for those that understand them, who could understand my reasoning. And so because you're under search trying to find one to understand or interpret the reasoning, you get frustrated, so you find yourself in a suppressive or oppressive mode, and you have to keep on buckling down, and you have
Mhm.
to keep on sitting down or in place where we just have to talk about the same redundant conversation over and over. And you're like, yeah, after a while you get tired of it. So now you are in search finding your tribe. You're in search finding those that echo yet that high level conversation. Yes, we do have those, but we need to have more of
More
those.
of.
And when I talk about
Yes.
high level conversation, I'm talking about beyond the normality of church. I'm talking about life, wealth,
Yes.
the
Yes.
economy, politics, because those seven mountains, based on the conversation we're having, they affect us as a people. It affects us as a whole, and we have those that cannot. When you start having conversation beyond the norm or the normality of church,
Mhm.
you'll
Mhm.
find that there's this disconnection, because they don't know. There's no. That's all they know,
That's
and
all.
and and,
That's it.
and, and
Right.
because that's all they know, and that's how they function, and that's how they're operating in. And a lot of them cannot go, or they don't know the world beyond the collar. I'm just gonna say it like that. And a lot of them cannot hide behind the anointing, because again, we house the anointing, but our intelligence, the mind of God, overrides the anointing.
Yes.
The
Yes.
anointing only is like one having is a superhero, and their gift give them superhero, not operation or tendency or whatever, but that's what the anointing does. It ignites, it illuminates us. But our intelligence, the consciousness of God, is where heaven is where the glory resides, is where, because we're tapping into the mind, the
Yes.
revelation, the
Yes.
downloads, the brain hacking. And
Yes.
so that's where we go, where there's no time, there's no restriction, and we're tapping into what's happening next 5 years, 10 years, what's going on in the world, currency, monies, politics, the economy, recession, and we go beyond those conversations. So it's radical. Not everybody's willing to go there. It's universal. It creates havoc,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
it will offend some people, because it offends the way they're thinking. They're
It
wiring.
challenges the thinking.
Why you gotta go there? Why you gotta go? Why you gotta
Yes.
talk? Yes, you gotta, because, and they're forgetting. And I'm going to say this: God is not only, he don't trap himself and contain himself in the full wall capacity called church. He's a
Yes.
universal God, which means it's the kingdom. And the
Yes.
kingdom have legislators, senators, and they have different levels of conversation, from government to gas to politics, to
Yes.
leading,
Yes.
to life. Period.
Wow, Apostle. Woo. When you get ready to look at like just our judicial system, there's the local government, there's the state, and then there's the federal. You just said about different conversations. The
Yes.
local government is not talking about federal laws.
Mhm. That's
The
true.
state is not talking about, federal. So in other words, um, we have to get beyond where we are and and
Yes.
and and, and elevate our consciousness, elevate our thinking. And another example, I always try to give personal examples. Um, Years ago, I had decided to go back to school, and a friend of mine said, "How are you going to do that? You work, you have
Mm.
all of these other responsibilities." And for a second, I thought, you know what, she's right. Maybe I'm going
Mm.
to wear myself out, and maybe I'm just going to, not be able to do it. But something on the inside of me said, you better obey and do what you know you're supposed to do, because I
Come
felt it.
on.
And so I had to get out of that comfortable zone of thinking like the everybody else. And
Come
for some
on.
reason, I was able to finish school. Was it hard? Absolutely. Did I lose sleep? Absolutely. Do I have gray hair? Absolutely. But I had to get to the point where I no longer based my decisions on what other people said, how they thought, how they felt. Because truth be told, that wasn't her assignment. My assignment was
Mm.
to finish school, and now years later, I can look back. I'm working with students now, encouraging them to, don't give up. You can go after your dreams and goals. And so I look at all of the students that I impact on my regular job. Um, Now, I would not have impacted them had I just stayed in that low level thinking, like, oh, well, I'll just stay where I'm at. Yeah, she's probably right. It's not meant for me, at this time.
Hmm.
Mm-mm.
Well, what if you had listened to that impression though? What if
Exactly.
you wasn't strong? What if you wasn't strong will? What if you didn't have a mind of your own? And I'm glad you
Exactly.
used that example, because we have those that's on their journey, and an impression like that will change their whole trajectory
Yes.
and
Yes.
cause them to sabotage their future, because they listened to an imprint or an expression that was
Yes.
stronger than the frequency of their mind.
Yes. Yes.
Imagine that it override and disrupt their whole lives. What I'm saying is that we will always have those impressions,
Mm-hmm,
and the
mm-hmm.
more you are evolving and you are ascending and you are changing or outgrowing versions of yourself, and you're tapping into the frequency of your mind, your mindset of who you
Yes.
are,
Yes.
as the
Yes.
stronger those impressions are going to come to, like you said earlier, to intercept your
Mm-hmm,
timeline, to change your trajectory. And
mm-hmm.
it is an enemy or contender against your mind or your mindset, against
Yes.
the
Yes.
fluidity of who you are. So
Yes.
yes, so that
Yes.
that happens every day. It's the norm. Is the norm. My daughter told me that the other day. She said, "Mom, you're just bored." She said, and I said, "Oh my gosh, here we go." She said, "Your plate is full, but you're bored." And I said, "You're right." She said, "When you get bored, you start talking out the side of your neck." And I was laughing because she was right. My plate is full, but I was bored. And I said, "Okay." And this is why I'm saying that, because I'm one always learning something, get another certification, learning this.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, "So what you gonna do about it now?" And I say, "You know what? I'm gonna find me something to do." And then I call her back. I said, "I found me something. I just enrolled in another class." She said, "Oh God, here we go." And she said, "It's AI." And I said, "She said AI." And I said, "Yeah." So I went in, start learning the codes, and start making some AI graphics and AI. And she said, "How do you feel?" I said, "I tapped into my creativity on another level."
Yes.
And I
Yes.
said, and because I did that, I created a harmony, a peace within myself. You are right. I was
Yes.
bored. We get bored with the regimen or the system of our everyday pattern. of our everyday conversation. And creative beings need balance. And if we
Yes.
keep talking and having the same
Yes.
conversation and having the same exchange, we get tired, we get bored, we get disruptive, and we start becoming idle and start finding things to do that we and go places that we shouldn't be, you know, just because we become idle. But when you are tap into the frequency of your mind, the God consciousness of your mind, you
Mhm.
become purposeful and you hold on to that purpose as for their life, because whatever you, because at that point you realize that your presence and what you're doing add value to the
Yes.
kingdom of God. It adds
Yes.
value to
Yes.
creation. It adds value to what God is doing in the earth realm. It gives him a recognition. It adds value. So I said that to say this: no matter what you do or how small you do, it speaks of your mindset, and it speaks of the impression of you. I don't care how small you might. I'm just doing a small little post. I'm doing something small, but it gives an impression of the way you're wired and the way you're thinking.
Yes.
So the
Yes.
more you spend
Yes.
time with you, learning who you are, outgrowing the versions of yourself and embracing who you are, those imprints or those impressions are going to become stronger and stronger, just to sway you away from purpose. So we have to
And,
be mindful.
and guess what? Going back to that
Mhm.
1987 Nissan Pulsar. I don't even know if they make those anymore. Uh, but I had to learn how to drive the standard, the stick shift.
Okay.
One of the things I had difficulty was learning the balance, learning when to let
Mm.
go of the clutch and press on the gas. And
Hmm.
many times I stalled because
Hmm.
I was second guessing myself. So what I'm
Yes.
saying to those who are watching, don't second guess yourself, because if you
Come
do,
on.
you're going to end up stuck. And guess what? The car cut off. It wasn't like the
Mm.
automatic cars. I mean, if you didn't take your, have that balance and that synchronization that and let your foot off the clutch or the gas too soon or too late, either your gears would grind or the car would cut off. And
Mm.
then I don't know, I'm really dating myself, but back then, if you were driving the standard and
Hmm.
you stalled, guess what happened? It rolled back.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
So, in order for
Hmm.
us to go forward, we have to get in that momentum of knowing when to release, knowing how to move from that low level thinking to that high. I
Mm.
call it the high level being. And it doesn't mean that
Mm.
you have are you better than anyone else. It just means that I can't stay at this level. You can't stay in
Mm.
first gear forever. You have to
That's
eventually,
true.
unless you want to be stagnant, unless you want to go back. So that's
Mm.
just a few words of encouragement for those who are watching. And I pray, let's see, Minister Clarice says, learn the balance. Absolutely.
Mm.
Coach Danielle, great revelation. Miss Jernisi, my God, come on now, Apostle from Dr. V. This mindset is so important because what does the word say? As a man thinketh
So he
in
is.
his heart,
Hmm.
so is he. So
Mm.
I
Thank you so
encourage,
much for sharing that. Because what you did was you shared an experience of, it's called process. You kept
yes,
going and you learned the balance of it. And I was laughing to myself because my experience for learning how to drive shift was, he stopped, my friend stopped in the middle of the highway. He said, get out, go in the driver's seat. I did that. And he said, I don't know what you're going to do, but you're going to have to get us out of here. And I'm talking about those cars was coming quick. And Kels, I'm talking about I was scratching so many gears. And until I finally got it. Guess what though? I did it. I
yep,
did it.
yep,
But
yep,
but
yep.
what I'm trying to say there is what you explained so beautifully was we have to go through a process, and the process though is hard. It brings about balance, but we don't see it as balance. We just see it as a process. And
Yes,
for my experience, mine
yes,
was a hard reset, meaning jump in this seat right now and get us out of this traffic before we get run over. Sometimes when life hits you, it hits you so hard that
you
you
don't
don't
have
know what to
time
do, but you
to
got to
react.
get out of that situation. And you're going to keep bumping your head and keep bumping and coming against things until you find or get your way out of there. So it's not going to always be a smooth transition, a smooth
Absolutely,
change. It's not
absolutely.
going to always be that transcendence and that awe, that awful moment. It could very well be pain or agony. that's
Mm-hmm.
causing or will cause you to shift or change your mindset, or you see things differently. But the thing about it is, one thing about what the creator does, he always comes by way of speaking to us, confirmation and or signs. And when
Yes.
we ignore the voice of consciousness, the voice of
Yes.
intuition,
Yes.
and we ignore the voice of confirmation, and we ignore the signs, and when life hits us and then it takes that to get our attention, that's
Mm-hmm.
where the change of our mindset begins. But
Mm-hmm.
first, he always comes by intuition, and
Yes. Yes.
and by soft voice, and even in a dream.
Mm-hmm.
So how many times will the creator present these opportunities for us to change, turn, and reintroduce ourselves to us until we get the change of our way of thinking?
Yes. Woo. All right. The doors of the church are now open. This has been so rich. Oh my goodness. And I agree with everybody that has commented so far. This has been a great conversation. And we're not done. We're not done. We still
Hmm.
got a little bit more to go. Uh,
Hmm.
so talk to us, Apostle, about I mentioned um, just a second ago about the thoughts that as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. How powerful. I mean, you kind of talked about it a little bit, but dive into how powerful are our thoughts.
Oh gosh, our thoughts are not only powerful, our thoughts could either is revolutionary.
Mm-hmm.
It is revolutionary. Revolutionary. It could also be the death of us. It could also bring harm to us, and it could
Mm-hmm.
also thrust us into our necks, based
Mm-hmm.
by of the way we're thinking, and and by thinking, or by the expansion of our thoughts by way of exposure, education, and by way of discovery. Our thinking takes a turn, or when I said, or discovery, by way of exposure,
Mm-hmm.
education, and by discovering. And so a lot of us don't take the time to read a Facebook post or a little thing that think that's it, an awakening or a motivational post, that's it. So, and then, and if I have those that don't do it, and when you start thinking with a broader vocabulary, like, oh, you got to do all that, you got to say all that, it's just this. Why? So one takes the time for matriculation to discover themselves, which means in the fullness of what God created, it
Mm-hmm.
becomes a threat. It
Mm-hmm.
becomes a threat. So when
Mm-hmm.
we take the time to know, learn who we are, because again, we're still searching, trying to discover who we are, but we're not all of us, but some of us are not taking the necessary step, and putting on clothes and going to church. And I'm just going to say it, going to church on Sunday, Wednesday, whatever, is not enough. It's not enough. Do not forsake the assembly of the,
Of course. Of
of who we
course.
are.
Of
But
course.
it's not enough, because when you walk, you could see the weather is changing. The trees are green, the leaves are green. And then there's the imprint or the signaling of the weather changing, spring, summer, and even in the seasons of time, they speaks volume. You know, by the cloud it was about to rain. Oh, it's
Yes.
not about to be hot. So
Yes.
God's creation
Yes.
speaks to us,
Yes.
and God's creation is waiting for us to respond. And a lot of us ignore it. We just keep on, look, I just got out from work. I'm ready to go home, get me something to eat. And that wind is blowing against your face so beautifully and just kissing on you, just letting you know, just want to let you know we value or appreciate you. And here it is now, the trees, the leaves are giving you shade because it recognizes who you are.
Yes.
But I'm
Yes.
just saying, our life creation knows who you are, recognizes who you are, but
Yes.
yet it is waiting for us to become in the fullness of who we are. But we're not taking the time to expand who we are by way of yet and I'm not talking about those that have 5 degrees and they're like a
Right.
talking about monitor. I'm talking about the exposure of those. Yes, they have those that have put in the time for education, knowledge. You have those that are traveling for exposure, and we call them well versed, but they have like, look, they have invested, they deserve it because they have invested the time to be able not only to appreciate life, but to be able to
Yes.
contribute to the
Yes.
life that they deserve. So when it comes to that, I said we need to do more. As a people, we get stuck in a humdrum. start living cycled life. And what we do, Kels, we go back in timelines. A lot of us are grieving because we keep, man, I should have did this 5 years ago, did this 10
Mhm.
years ago. And we tend to look back in time, and we go back in time, and we keep reaching back in time, not looking ahead because we're grieving, not knowing that we're grieving because we're not living the life
Of
entrusted to
course.
us from the
Yes.
beginning of time.
Yes.
So if we could take the time to learn who we are, then we'll be able to, and I said, appreciate the creator for who he is, you know. So, yes, ma'am. There's
And
so much to go ahead.
oh, go ahead. Go. No, no, go ahead.
There's so much to the introduction of ourselves, and the introduction of ourselves is when we look in the mirror,
Mhm.
and we start looking at ourselves, and when we look at ourselves, either one, you're gonna tear yourself apart, or two, you're gonna be like, oh girl, you look good. I'm just saying, but that also speaks of your mindsets. When one have to look in the mirror and tear apart themselves, my nose is too big, I'm too black, I'm too this, I'm too that. It
Right.
speaks of
Right.
one's mindset
Right.
to reject that self-rejection again. So it speaks loudly of the way one thinks and the way one is wired. And in order to shift your thinking, going to a conference that's an impactful conference for 3 or 4 hours is not it. Constant penetration of, when I said penetration of knowledge, of conversation, accountability, and the consistency of staying in that place, or in
Mhm.
that place where you're learning or studying and you're
Mhm.
embracing who you are. It brings about or it ignites or sets you on that journey to self-discovery. Self-discovery is not only parked at religion. There's a self-discovery of spirituality that we haven't
Yes.
even tapped
Yes.
into,
Yes. Yes.
yet. And so there's so many heights and depths of us that starts with the way we think and the way our lens, the way we view things. Mhm.
And you know what I was going to say? Another mind shift that happened to me was years ago
Mhm.
in this uh, journey of this Christian walk. Uh, I read about, when Peter walked on the water. I read about when I think it was Joshua that said, son, stand still, and, until the victory, and, all of
Yeah.
those things. But it wasn't until I got that revelation. Wait a minute. The same power that resides in,
Mm.
I have it.
Mhm.
Oh,
Mhm.
it's on. It
Mhm.
it was on.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
there have been times when that's why I say, the enemy doesn't run anything uh, because I'm speaking it, maybe not as others would say. Some, would just go up in their prayer language or whatever. But I know, and the enemy know what I mean. And I mean, he ain't running nothing.
Mm.
The
Mhm.
technical issues, all of these other things. And that's just
Yes.
one thing. But even when it comes to believing God, trusting God for like a financial miracle,
Mm.
things like that, calling forth those things that be not as though they were. So that was a mind shift experience that I had to go through to say, okay, wait, it's just not for the people in the Bible back then. He's the same God
Mm.
back then as he is now. And so that
Mhm.
began to build my confidence in God, my trust in God, and also standing on his word
That's true.
no matter what the
Mm.
situation looks like. Now, do I get fearful? Do I have those moments of doubt or moments of, "Ooh, I don't know"?
Mhm.
Absolutely. But then it's almost like it shuts off real quick and say, "Wait, wait,
Yeah.
wait. Who is your daddy?
Mm.
Who is the one that you have dedicated your life to?
Mm.
He's the one that flung the stars. He's the one that's still to this day, eons and eons ago, when he said, "Sun, stand or be the light," it's still light.
Yes. True.
It's still standing on that word.
Mhm.
The stars,
Mhm.
we've had some, issues and things like that has happened with the solar system, but for the most part, they're still operating and functioning according to his plan, according
That's
to his
true.
word. Because if not, if can you imagine what would happen if he withdrew that?
That's true.
that would be a catastrophe. We would not even be here.
Mhm.
But even
That's true.
the point I'm trying to make, even the sun, the moon, the stars, he spoke to Moses in a burning bush.
Yes.
All of those things he has power and control over.
Yes.
And so our mind should be, if he's my daddy, I can do what my daddy do.
That's
I can
true.
have what my daddy says I can have.
Hmm.
So well spoken, Apostle. Well spoken. I
Hmm.
think I saw another comment, or she's Annette just put some fire
Hmm.
icons up there, emojis up there. So what you're saying has been fire. Now, speaking of Joshua, well, actually, some characters in the Bible. I'm getting ahead of myself. Uh, talk about the mentality of Joshua and Caleb. Remember, they were part of the group that was sent out to spy the land. But what happened? They were the only two that came back with a good report. And I believe it was their mentality.
Yes. Yes. They were the only two. Again, but Joshua and Caleb spent a lot of time together.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
So basically, they rub up. When I say time, conversation,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
conversation. And prior to that, they had a lot of, and I call it static. They had a lot of static where there was rebelling and they were bucking. And what they were not only bucking, but they were speaking against, they were contending by way of their conversation, but really they were releasing the imprints of their mindset out into the atmosphere, resting upon the tablets or the heart of the people. And God is so intentional that He allowed it. Why? So He could use Joshua and Caleb to pave the way and
mm-hmm,
to showcase His intelligence that we call the glory of the Father, glory of the Lord. So I'm
mm-hmm.
saying that God would allow things just like He did with Job. He
Mm-hmm.
allowed things to
Mm-hmm.
happen through biblical times or history, and he allowed things that happens or that's happening to us just so he could showcase himself. So we
Mm-hmm.
could say, "To God be the glory" at the end of the day. And I said that to say this: there were, and but based on the dynamic of what was going on, there were only, even though God brought them out over and over again, they not only did they speak of their mindset, but it also spoke about their heart, their issue towards the Father.
Mm-hmm.
They were angry at the Father, and because they were angry at the Father, they were disgruntled. They were ungrateful. They were unappreciative, and then they think, or in their mind, that God, He's supposed to do this. They put it on Him. They became entitled, but because Joshua and Jacob were so connected, and
Mm-hmm.
so the disgruntled or one speaking against of what God have done for them in so many ways and showed himself by way of symbolism and by way of imprints, by way of experiences. They were so disconnected from the Father that no matter what the Father did, it would not,
Have mattered.
I mean, it didn't matter. They were not satisfied. It
Mm-hmm.
speaks of the mind, of their thoughts. It also speaks of their heart. They were so disconnected. But the relationship that Joshua and Caleb had, they were connected to the Father, that no matter what happened by way of discourse or obstacle, they
Mm-hmm.
were able to see beyond, like 3D vision, see beyond the obstacles, see and hold on to the promise. I don't know who I'm speaking to. It don't matter
Yes,
what it looks
yes,
like or what you're going through. A lot will happen to shift your belief system, your philosophy, your belief system, the
yes,
foundation of your mind, to separate and disconnect you from the Father, which means you could still
yes,
serve the Father, you could still yield to the Father, but still be disconnected in the heart. And a lot of us in the body of Christ are angry at the Father because, yeah, I got that divorce. I didn't want a divorce. I didn't want to see myself as a statistic. A family member died. They lost a job. They no longer have the car. And they're figuring because their relationship with the Father, that that's supposed to be their grace, that nothing's supposed to happen to them called life.
yes,
Again,
yes,
that's why I call hiding behind the collar, hiding behind the anointing, hiding behind the grace, hiding behind the assignment. Just so they figure
yes.
nothing's supposed to happen to them because of that grace or that anointing. So when it do happen, forgetting who they are connected to, forgetting that they're connected to the Father, that He has their greater interest, the promise and stored for them beyond what happens. And we take our eyes, because we all do that. We take our eyes off the prize. We get
Yes,
upset.
yes,
We get
yes,
angry. And,
yes,
I'm going to tell on myself. I told God how many times I quit the next day for me to get up doing it. He said, I thought you quit. I said, I thought so too, but it's embedded in me. Why? Because that's what your love and
yes,
your
yes,
purpose, when you have, look, a lot of people have said yes to the call, but not to the mandate. I said yes to the call and the mandate. So which means until I died in whatever capacity, you don't have to be within the four wall capacity, but I said that
yes,
to say
yes,
this. What
yes,
ministry means to serve humanity. Ministry means to serve humanity. Okay, so with that, it brought back yet the mindset of their mind, and it also brought about their situation by the disconnected by way of the heart. A lot of sometimes when we're going through and we're so broken, we allow the hurt and the agony to override the consciousness of our mind,
yes,
and
yes,
that's what was ruling. But Joshua and Caleb allow, and yes, I know the story. Yes, y'all know the story. But they allow yet the mind of Christ to dictate their present and dictate their future. So they held on to the promise and they kept going and
yes,
they kept
yes,
pressing, and they didn't see obstacle. They kept going. They keep pressing. That's why they could come back and give a good report. I don't care what y'all saying. And
yep,
we're in a place like that. You have some people, that's all they do all day long. They could pinpoint of every flaw, every crack, every crevice. So they didn't do this. That's how they're wired to see all the negativity. But they can't tell you what you've done thus far that was positive. That's all they know. That's all they see. And that's the lens they look out through negativity. And so that's how they was talking again. I said that again, even though we could just say your mind is transformed by the renewing of your mind. We could transform our
yes,
mind all day
yes,
long in the word of God,
yes,
and we could
yes,
do devotion, and we could fast 21 days or whatever. But if the heart is disconnected, and so we need to search our heart, because a lot of us don't know that we're disconnected. We're still mad at sister so and so. We're
mm-hmm,
still mad at brother so and so.
mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
even in that, God told you to let it go, but you don't know how to let it go. Why? Because that you holding on to that situation, it gave you and it fueled you, and you don't even know it, that you rather be and stay in that place of anger rather than to let go, because now you have to forgive. Yeah, you were still talking about mindset. We are still talking about
Yes,
mindsets.
yes,
But
yes,
again, when we let go and move forward, is because we're not allowing, and this is where mindset's coming. This is where we take on the mind of consciousness, the Christ, the mind of consciousness. When we let go, which means we're saying, I'm not going to let nothing come between you and my God.
that's
I'm not
right,
going to allow nothing to come between you and
that's
my
right,
relationship with the Father. Yes,
that's
it hurts. Yes, it agonizes. Yes, I'm going to bleed for a minute. Yes, I got to get past through this. It hurts like heck. And you're broken, don't know how to get up. I've been there, done that. I get it. I understand. You're disappointed. You're hurt. But after a while, when you've come back to yourself, when you've come back to yourself, at
wow.
that point, you take on the stance and you say, I'm not going to let nothing come between me
Mhm.
and my creator. Nothing come between me. I was made in his image and likeness. So I'm not going to let nothing come between you and your Christ centeredness. Nothing come between you and your spirituality, your oneness with the
Yes,
Father,
with the
taking
Father.
on the mind of God. Mhm.
Wow, wow. And Karen says, listen, I quit every day, and God just be saying, okay, watch. Where? I love it, Karen. I love it. Yeah, we all been there, done that a lot of times. But
Mhm.
that just goes to show our mindset is not um, uh, thinking selfishly. Is well, I put it that way. Put it this way: in the moment, is selfish.
Yes.
They did this. They didn't do that. Why did they say that? Why didn't they do this? But then when you really start to change that mindset, you say, you know what, God? Okay, if your son stood on the cross and said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do, then that
Mhm.
means I've got to forgive. Because
Yes.
who am I? I am not Christ. because
Mhm.
it would have been a different story.
Mhm. Mhm. And
You know,
Kelsey, if you don't mind, I feel a little shift here.
yes,
I'm going to speak to those that are burnt out. Burnt out.
yes,
I'm doing
yes,
what I'm supposed to do. I'm changing my
yes,
mindset. I'm doing what is necessary,
yes,
but yet, you're burnt out. And
yes.
I experienced that, before, and I've experienced it over and over. Matter of fact, it was a couple of weeks ago. I'm like, look, got still enough. And when I got still enough, I'm just having conversation. And in that, I know I heard the Father speaking. Then I reached out, to I call it TK. Everybody know TK. Hey TK, that's the therapist. Hey, we were just bouncing things back off of each other. And even that, she said, she go, what? She said, could it be that you have to change your audience?
Mhm.
Could it be? And I started laughing. And she said, why are you laughing? I said, because you just confirming. A lot of us, even though we're changing and we're evolving, the faces remain the same.
Yes,
The
yes,
faces remain the face. So therefore, you're
yes,
changing, you're growing, you're evolving, you're
yes,
shredding, you're shredding the dead weight, and you're becoming into
yes.
the
Come on,
newness
Apostle.
of self called a next version. But the echo of the conversation is now redundant and it's frustrating. So therefore, it's no longer fresh but dull. Because the
Yes, yes,
faces
yes,
remain the
yes,
same. So, can I tell you, find a new tribe, start exploring, start networking, start finding
yes,
people that you
yes.
could have an exchange of conversation on the same level or even higher, and
Higher,
which means you have
yes.
to come up out of like that. The scriptures talk about, he one day, I forgot the name of the man, he picked up his bed and he walked off. One day, he'd been sick all
Mhm,
these years,
mhm,
and one day
mhm,
he came to himself and picked
mhm,
up his bed, which means pick up your bed, get up, come out of your comfort
mhm,
zone, go
mhm,
network, go to
mhm.
mixers, get on a plane, go to a next state, go to a conference, go to network business, mixers, networking events. Get out of your country, get out of your city, go to the next city, go down the street, whatever, by way of yacht, boat,
Yes,
plane. Get
yes,
out of your
yes,
normality, break
yes,
out of it.
yes,
That's why you're
yes.
bored, that's why you're tired, that's why you're frustrated, because you're changing and everything around you remains the same. So it's
Oh,
frustrating you.
Apostle, that's the gears. That's that grind.
Come on.
You
Come
can't
on.
move. You're not doing anything. You're just there. You're just there.
Come on. Mm, mm,
That
mm,
is good. Keep going.
mm,
Keep
mm,
going.
mm. So you have to change your environment,
Yes,
change the
yes,
atmosphere,
yes.
change. You know how we start doing it at home? Or I'm tired of seeing this, and we start moving the whole house around. You
Mhm,
start changing your curtain, you start changing this, you
mhm,
start changing
mhm.
that, because you're changing the atmosphere in which you
Yes,
dwell. And for
yes,
some of us, when you're driving this car, then you change out your car. You're changing your life. So if you're changing your life, change out your level and the depth of your communication. Your language barrier is limited.
yes.
It's limited. So
Oh,
therefore, you got to therefore you got to plummet. Change the level and tap into the level of your frequency. Mm. This is for somebody because you're
wow,
burnt out. I'm seeing it's more so females. They're burnt out.
wow.
I'm like high. They don't even know they high level entrepreneurs. They just know that I'm leveling up. I'm doing what I can. I'm always enrolling in a class. I don't got no money. Here I go, certification again. I'm doing all that is possible so I could level up and get. I'm grinding. I'm doing this. They're getting up early, going to bed late. They don't even eat right. They're off balance. Everything. And so here it is now, you're making changes, but your language barrier, you're limited by way of communication. And
Mhm.
when you're dealing with a level of a person that's highly intelligent or one that's rich, or and I put it this way, you're balanced. Not everybody is a balance. When you're balanced and
Yes,
you
yes,
don't,
yes,
and you could be by your lonesome, be in your house and kick it by yourself. Every now and then you need to be able to hear an echo of your intelligence. You need to be able to have that
yes,
exchange.
yes,
You
yes,
need
yes,
to be able to have, and not having the same redundant, girl, I got something going on. It's not like I got something going on. Of course, that is the normality. But I'm just saying, the richness of life.
yes,
What are you doing?
yes,
What are
yes.
you doing? What's your next? What does the next 5 years look like? What is it? Find someone that echoes you. getting circles that echoes you. Come out
Yeah.
of your comfort zone. You're like, okay, I don't mind traveling. I don't mind. Someone said, I don't mind traveling. I don't mind getting on the plane. I don't mind. Okay, well, go to Eventbrite. Go to your meetup on your local Google meetup, or find out where, business meetings, conferences, whatever. There's so much information at your disposal. Tap into it.
Absolutely.
Tap into it, because truth be told, you have already outgrown your friends. You left them 5-10 years ago, but you keep coming down, leveling down, and you keep, I'm just saying, and so that's why you're bored. Like, here we go again, to the point where you could even echo what they're going to say next, because it's the same,
It's repetitive.
systematic, it's repetitive.
Mm-hmm.
And we're burnt out because there's no exchange.
Mm-hmm.
There's no exchange.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why a lot of you, right, God, you're like, even I was speaking to someone the other day, and you one time I said, no, I'm 5-10 years behind. They said, really? I said, yeah, because I've entertained some bull. They were
Yes.
laughing at me so hard. I
Yes.
said, I have been in
Yes.
some places. I've
Yes.
missed season, rendering, building everybody up. And now it's time for me to build me up. I'm looking at holes and cracks and crevices. And I said, I'm even burnt out building me. I'm being
Mm-hmm.
real, because this is, somebody needs to hear this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm burnt out
Absolutely.
building me. You know why I was burnt out building me? Because I was tapping into a version of me I've outgrown.
Ooh. So you not
I'm
only can
no,
outgrow others, you
yes,
can outgrow yourself. You're
outgrow yourself. I was tapping into a version of me I have
wow.
outgrown. So we call it obstruction in the sense of frustration. I said, wait a minute, what am I doing? Because what I thought was seed form is no longer seed form. It's a full grown adult.
Wow.
So I was mishandling information. I was strategically executing outdated information. So I had to change now. What I had to do now is go back and now tap into the advancement of time. Where are you at now?
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
5 years ago, did my DBA, did it come to real estate? Well, guess what? Real estate have changed. Things have changed. Now it's, like, oh gosh, now I have to catch up. And there's nothing wrong with catching up. A lot of us have to catch up. A lot of us are catching up to the point when things are happening. I'm here for the Lord. Think you're experiencing doubles and triples. You have monies flowing, coming at you, and you're trying to figure out, how did that happen? Why? You've invested time years ago, and now the investment of your time is finally catching up with you. Why now? Because you miss your repositioning. Just
Yes.
because you take the time to invest in getting the knowledge to get ahead, you need to be where you can execute that knowledge. So, which they always say, knowledge is power.
Yes.
The
Yes.
execution of knowledge is the power. A lot of
Yes.
us are eating
Yes.
and we're brain hacking our mind and we're getting all the education, but we're not doing anything with the education that we've inputted and break our minds with. The execution of knowledge is the power. So that's where
Wow.
5-10 years ahead, trying to catch up. So that's why I was talking about trajectory. So when there's an impression, so now you have to now override the language of your mind. So can I say that this journey, season of your life is personal, and you're gonna have to protect it with your dear life, because
Yes.
you are now
Yes.
leveling it up
Yes.
on you, and now you have to look like the investment in which you have put in years ago. Because I'm telling you, this is your blooming season. If the contracts that you've been waiting for, the $1 million contracts that you have been waiting for, they've been there. They've been there waiting on you. Somebody told Nia Long the other day about her being broke. Are you scared about being broke? Whatever. She said, I don't mind being broke. She said, but what I do know is how not to be broke. I know how to get me $1 or come out of my situation of being
Yes.
broke,
Yes.
which means I'm exercising or implement. She said, I'm exercising the gift called my right called my gift or my talent. A lot of us have gifts and talents and not doing nothing with it. We're investing in it. We're building our repertoire, our
Yes.
profile,
Yes.
but we're not executing the talent. So therefore, the execution of the knowledge is power. So going back to what you said earlier, we are a powerful being,
Yes.
but we are not tapping into the potential of us because we are in some places and seasons of our life that we should have been long gone. But we keep holding on to Pookie and them because look, you're bored and you know you're bored, but you know you're supposed to be in that place, in that office. A lot of you have outgrown your office. I don't know who I'm talking to. That's got books and everything everywhere. You're supposed to be in a bigger space, in a bigger house. And we're waiting for the right time. Whatever you've missed the timeline of your time. Just entertaining, pooking them. That's what we call earlier the imprints, the
Yes.
impressions.
Yes.
Pausing our own seasons.
Yes. Yes.
Pausing our season, missing the windows of time. I don't know who I'm speaking to. Missing windows of time. So therefore, yes, you're leveling up. You're taking on the knowledge. By fact, you have infinite mindset. Your mindset is infinite. I'm talking about infinite to the point where you have that, which means you know how to shut your ego down. You go beyond you.
Mm-hmm.
You empty yourself of you.
Mm-hmm.
You consistently seek to grow. You're thinking legacy. That's all you're thinking. You're thinking legacy. What I'm going to leave back for my children's children. Your mindset is infinite. You're as you're putting things in place. But a lot of us are long overdue because we have entertained, and we're still entertaining imprints of conversations as language barrier that's limiting. And the longer we entertain them, after a while, they're going to take an impression. After a while, you can find yourself thinking negative. Where did that come from? I don't think like that. That's not my wiring. Why? Because you listen to it. You've given your ear to it for the longest. So now it's overpowering your consciousness.
Wow. Apostle Rachel says, why sit here and die?
Come on. And that's what we're doing.
Sister
We're withering away.
Yes. Just not doing anything with what God has given to us. Karen says, that's me right now. I'm so grateful that I was able to catch this live. We are grateful for you too as well.
Thank you.
And then Apostle says, agree, we have to be in tune when God unearths new things within us when evolution has occurred in us. Oh, Apostle Rachel, if I could give you a high five, I would. I love it. I love it. I mean, there's so many different comments. I just can't read them all. But I am grateful that there comes a time when you have to get out of the bucket. Yes. And by the bucket, I mean that crab mentality. Crabs will pull each other down, try to step on each other to get out of the bucket, but they're pulling each other down, holding each other back. And so we have to get, like you said, in a new circle of people that are going to say, okay, let me hold you up. When you get up, then you pull me up. So it's like a constant elevation, linking arm in arm, if you will, not a jealousy. Well, I'm not going to let you get ahead of me, so I'm going to pull you back. I served for years and
that's
years.
The normality. And a lot of us live there. Why?
That's all we know. That is all we know. And it's time, as you said, that we level up, that we move from that low level thinking into that high level being all that God has called for us to be. And I personally can attest to, not wanting my light to shine because, Pookie and Ray Ray, and nobody in my family ever did it, or, all of my friends are not doing it. Okay, well, I think we lost her. You there?
I'm here. Yes, I'm here.
Okay. It doesn't matter what Pookie, Ray Ray, and Shaquita and all of them have or have not done. It's about what have you done that God has told you to do with what He's given you. Not allow.
And everybody's not going to agree. Everybody's not going to agree. I remember one time I was having a conversation. We're talking about the things of God and whatever. And I said something then like, don't say that. You might come across of they use a word. And I'm like, I could say that. You might not be able to say that as I forgot the name of the word. It just slipped my mind. And I said, I could say that. You can't say that. And they're like, what do you mean? I said, if you have to tell me about how they're going to view me by me expressing myself, which means you're still wrapped up in the opinions of man. You're free, but I'm liberated. So you telling me to what and what not to say. And I said, so therefore, And I said, I don't need your approval and I don't need your permission for me to express yet the mind of Christ. She said, I know what you're saying. I was just saying, don't take it to know. And I said, well, you're trying to, I said, whether you see it like that or not, you're trying to now navigate and tell me what I should stay in and how I should flow. And I said, so you're not free yet. And I said, no, you're not liberated yet. There's a difference. There's a difference, people. There's a difference. You're free to move about. But if you have to think twice of what people are saying, you're free. But once you're liberated,
yes,
once you're liberated,
yes,
you are able to express, not again, you could bring it in the purest sense. And it could be beautifully, when I said, with a beautiful impression and illustrated. Some people are still going to be offended no matter what you do,
no matter
and what
what
you
you do.
say. They're going to be offended. That's on them.
Yep.
That's on them.
Yep.
But if you're going to take on the position or the role to be able to express the mind of Christ, it doesn't matter what role you are in, by way of CEO or an entrepreneur, or even in the laity body of Christ, to be able to express the expression is to express who you are. You have got to know that you will offend people. It is what it is. And you just keep going. The more you become liberated to be or exercise the imprint of who you are, the more you express people will be offended by the mere sight of you, the aura of you, the imprint of you, the expression of you. People will be offended by, in reality, a lot of them want to be like you, but they don't know how to be like you. So you offend them. So until you get to that point that whether they're offended or not, well, that's on them, not on you. But don't allow the opinions of man to override or interject who you are. Don't allow it to stop you in the fluidity. It took me, my impression or experience of that is when I went to Canada years ago, and we went to the it just slipped my mind. That famous where you could see the waterfall, the Niagara Falls. We went to Niagara Falls. And when I was watching the flow, the fluidity of the water, I heard this. He said, it don't matter if it's rain, sleet, or snow, hot or cold, the waterfall knows its purpose. It doesn't stop the flow of it. And he said, and he'll say, it doesn't stop the flow of it. So if it was created by me, it doesn't stop the flow of it. And you were made a little bit lower than the angels. Why are you stopping the flow of you?
Apostle, say that again for the people in the back listening to the conversation in the restaurant.
Why are you stopping the flow of you? If all creation knows its purpose and its role, and you were made a little below the angels, why are you stopping the flow of the fluidity of you?
Yes. Woo. Now that is a checkup from the neck up. And I encourage everybody out there that's listening, ask yourself the question, what is stop? As a matter of fact, put it in the comments. Nothing can stop me. Nothing can stop me. Because of course, if God gave you the vision, he's going to give you the provision. And I'm speaking that back to myself. Apostle and I were laughing before we went live. And I said something about welcome to the green room. That's the room where they bring the guests into all the talk shows and stuff like that. And I said, and pretty soon I'm going to be able to say, and meet the producer, the engineer, so I don't have to be looking all around and you hear my clicking and I'm trying to watch two monitors and do all these things. I can just, focus on my guest. So I am speaking those things that be not as though they were, because my mind shift has changed to say, however wherever he takes this platform, I'm going to do it to the best of my ability in excellence, because he was the one that opened the door. So I'm going to steward this as a precious gift, impacting whoever, 10 people, 10,000 people, 10 million people, whatever it is. So I'm going to take this as my mind shift. Also to remind myself to say, okay, Mr. Engineer, okay, put up some more comments. Dr. V said, mic drop. Sister Zelma says, nothing can stop me. Amen. Bertha Dunn is watching. Amen. I'm unstoppable. Oh, I like that, Apostle Rachel. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Karen Hawthorne, I believe is her name. She has that song Unstoppable.
Yeah.
So again, this, ooh, Apostle, do you think we need to do another part two?
Sure. We could do a
Just to
part
have
two.
people, talk about some of their beliefs that have limited them, so that
Yeah.
you can encourage them and empower them. And before you answer that, let me just say this so I don't lose my thought. I want to sincerely thank you for the platform that you have, because you have no idea how you have elevated my thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Just, I don't even remember how we connected. It's been a couple of years. I think you hosted something, and I was not able to attend. But then years later, here comes prophetic ethics.
Mm-hmm. Dr. V. To Dr. V.
Dr. V, through Dr. V.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And just the nuggets that you shared, and over the course of the 2 years, and we don't talk all the time. As a matter of fact, I
Mm-hmm.
think we had 2 or 3 conversations over the phone. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
we'll chat, messenger, something like that. But because your conscience was raised to a different level of
Mm-hmm.
thinking about things from a different spiritual perception,
Yeah.
it encouraged me to do the same.
Mm-hmm.
So you are absolutely right about changing the company that you keep. What is that saying? Bad company? What is it? Corrupt good?
Corrupts good. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you are impacted. If nobody else, you impacted me to continue to go forth. And I remember you posted. It was a post that I did, and I was still trying to figure out how to do all these reels and all this other stuff. And he said, turn that into a reel. And I was like, I don't know how. But the point I'm trying to make is, if you're out there, know first of all that your mindset has to shift, and that if you miss the timing, you'll be grinding gears, stuck. The whole car could cut off, and the worst thing is you're gonna roll backwards.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's
So,
true.
Apostle, oh wow, I I don't want to end. I don't want to end, but I don't want to keep the people. We way over our time, but we will do a part two. Maybe we'll do a different platform. Maybe we'll just do something where it's more intimate,
Okay.
and you can see them, hear them, pray for them, encourage them, whatever. Because I'm telling those of you are watching, when I tell you, this woman of God, when I think I opened up and said, when do you sleep?
Mm-hmm.
God has downloaded some things. I don't even understand how she's sane. Because of all the richness that God has given her, the things that are coming up. Apostle, let's just go right into it. What are some of the
Mm-hmm.
things you have coming up? Oh my God.
We're doing prophetic thrust. It's coming up here in June. Excited about that. Prophetic thrust was, well, we did prophetic thrust before, but it really got pushed or ignited due to the book Prophetic Ethics.
Gotcha.
And
Gotcha.
so yes, we're launching in Canada, Toronto, Canada, and one of the co-author is launching her ministry, and at the same time, she just said we need that here. We need prophetic ethics. We need that move. We need it here. So
Yes.
in doing so,
Yes.
for those that are watching right now, we're needing, when I said amplified voices that will not only, and I'll say this, for those that are not, we're looking for speakers. It could either be virtual, or if you'd like to travel with us, please, we invite you to travel with us. We're looking for amplified voices, not only to release yet the voice or the word of the Lord, but to speak and hover over the region, to speak
Yes.
and hover over the hearts of the emerging. to
Yes.
speak
Yes.
over to the hearts of the emerging yet leader that are transitioning, and also those that are on the scene now, and the new vanguards, to speak or decree and declare the coming moves of God, because we're ushering the next wave of the glory of God. But there is such a revolutionary thrust that one will find themselves being catapulted or quantum leap yet in another realm, or they're in another, when I said realm or sec, dimensionally. And in doing so, yet they will hear a fresh sound. They will hear the height, the depth of the Father with fresh, when I said revelatory voices that's quaking and shaking the region. So as we go, we are moving. So we're going from Canada in June the 26th to their national holiday, which was July the 1st. And in Toronto, Canada, Pastor Marsha Miller. So we are excited about that. So it starts on the Friday. Then we have workshop settings, teachings on Saturday. Then we do Saturday night, and of course, Sunday morning. And then from Canada, we are going to the beautiful island of Antigua, the Caribbean. Of course, we are going to do yet virtual, as well as those that would like to travel with us. And in Antigua, Apostle Stanchar is having 7 days of awesomeness. So every day where
Wow.
there's an event happening, and there are worshipers traveling from all over the country. And so we're getting in that Friday night. I'm speaking that Friday night. We'll do our leadership training on and equipping on Saturday, that workshop setting. And then Saturday night, there's something going on. So every day for 7 days, there's an event, there's an impacting going on in the island of Antigua. And of course, mind you guys, even though we will be working, but we still will get to go to the beautiful beaches. Oh my God.
Yes.
Eat the
Yes.
full Caribbean food, be able to connect with leaders from all over, connect. So I'm literally inviting, but I'm also saying, come with, join us. And that is in June, and also August the 4th
Yes.
through the 8th. And so again, a week long of awesomeness. We spoke yesterday, going over the details, and she's so excited. It is being every day is being promoted on the flyers are coming here shortly. It's being promoted on the radio. We have other leaders locally and from other countries will be coming into the prophetic thrust that Saturday as well. So we're looking forward. So I say this. So a lot of you are saying, you're called to international ministry, and you're called to global ministry. And the since COVID was introduced to us, it shifted our way of doing ministry. And so while this is your chance or your time to maneuver and move, to be able to impact lives that are coming as you position yourself, coming from different countries to hear you,
Yes.
speak, to
Yes.
hear yet the wisdom,
Yes.
the knowledge, revelation entrusted to you. So if you're not able to travel with us, you can do virtual. You can do virtual. So if you'd like to know more about it and to learn more about it, you could, hit me up or inbox me, and definitely we'll reach out to you. Okay,
And I
that's
put
two.
her apostles' information is scrolling at the bottom,
Okay.
her website. And of
Okay.
course, she's on Facebook. So those of you
Yes.
watching, she is on Facebook. Anything
Yes.
else coming up, Apostle?
Oh, got lots of events coming up, but those that are present, we have events going all the way up to, and I'll do Italy. We have Italy coming
Yes.
up in September. That is for women who soar. I'm excited because we will be staying in the castle, Castillo, which means Castle
Wow.
Renocade. We will
Okay.
be staying in
Okay.
the castle, and from there we will be going to Plaza del Mario, which means Castle del Mario. And these, when I said castles, have been built since the early 1900s. And of course, though they're being renovated, whatever they still have, we'll be going on tour. We'll also be going to where they built the hotel, where Marco Polo stayed in Venice. And so partnering with Lillian, she's founder of EDO, which means Women Founders for Women, for entrepreneurs. Partnering with her, she is a part of our co-author for Women for Women devotional. And so she is based in Italy. And so we're partnering, connecting with that. So that's just, again, and that's for 7 days. The meals are included.
Wow.
And every day, so the woman will be able to speak to other women. We'll have other locals coming in within the city of Italy to be able to hear you, and also for those that are doing virtual. So you have the opportunity to speak virtually as well as locally. Again, 7 days of beautiful history in Italy. And so the more I'm telling you, I'm just watching God just do what he does. And I'm sitting there and they're interpreting in Italy, and they're interpreting in French, and they're interpreting, and it's just a beautiful thing just to be able to negotiate contracts in Italian and French and English, and just having an awesome time. So I'm just inviting you to be able to not only build and empower women, but to help women soar. Help women soar by way of experience. So that is in September the 26th to October the 3rd. September the 26th to October the 3rd. Have 2 more events coming up. Well, there's more, but one is already surfacing, the flyer. That's going to my homeland, the Virgin Islands, with the Dreamers Conference with Apostle, oh gosh, George. And I'm excited with all these powerful women coming from all over. Now we're going to the Caribbean to empower women at large. That's in October. And the one with Apostle Carmen McKnight. Oh my God. That is
That's
where
gonna be
eternity, ooh, where eternity echoes. Oh my God.
that's
The
gonna be
queer
fire.
fire, where that is in September. I'll put the flyers on my wall. So therefore, and
Okay.
again, the dates escapes me right now, but the synergistic, yet the just even looking at the flyer, talking about it, I feel the wave of the glory of the Lord. So I'm telling you, if position yourself. Position yourself. If you're down the street a couple of states away, fly in. There's a lot of these things we're seeing on TV, so a lot of us need to experience the realness of it. So position yourself to be there. I'm excited about that. And also in October, I will be in Australia. Oh my God! With again a platform of women, speaking to women that have been trauma, had went through trauma, have been go. Oh, it's oh my gosh, went through trauma, going through their healing and processing stage. So again, platform for women from all over. So we'll be in Sydney, Australia. So the flyer's not out yet. What I'm saying is that it's just a beautiful time to see women positioning themselves, the generals positioning themselves, and my God, they're amplifying their voices and their roles just to be able to catapult a nation, to thrust a nation. It's not about them, it's about putting other people in platforms so that people can be able
Yes,
to
yes,
hear
yes.
their soundness, their words of wisdom, and see how God has entrusted them. So I'm excited about that. Oh, and also one of our new coming books, with a collaborative of women, visionary, precious, Swan's Peak, is called My Journey Down the Road to Restoration. I'm excited about that because that is really speaking to the heart of those that are being restored. My chapter deals with the revolution. It tells you the revolution has begun, and with the revolution has begun, it's just letting you know, no matter what you're dealing with, what displays or go through your life, the essence of you is being displayed, whether it's happiness, sadness, brokenness, or blissfulness.
Mhm,
On
mhm.
any level, it depicts the essence of you. But what I really stress is that this is your revolution, your birthing, your revolutionary change, your ascended state, your evolution, or part of you, which means um, even when pain cries the loudest, allow it. We could get so busy and put on this tough exterior,
Also the
and we're
mask. Yes,
hurting, and
yes,
we're
yes,
broken, and we're going through so much, and we have to keep on wearing some of us are wearing capes, and some of we call it mantles, but it is
yes,
a cape.
yes.
And we're putting on this tough exterior to the point where we have an inner cry, but we're ignoring the inner cry. And what that is telling you, to listen to your inner cry, because your inner cry is telling you, stop grieving, stop hurting, to forgive, to let it go, get past your past mistakes, get past the agonizing of your soul, and now for you to embrace the radical change of your soul. A lot of us focused on the spirit, but still the mind, we also have to evolve the mind, change the mind. We also have to also allow the spirit and the soul to take
Yes,
precedence.
yes,
And so
yes.
even though you're a position where you're a CEO, entrepreneur, you go, there are times where you're going to break down and you're trying to figure out what the heck is happening, what's going on with me.
Oh, Apostle, did we lose you? I think her connection dropped, but that's okay. We're still going to go forth. We are wrapping things up. But again, if you want to reach Apostle, she is on Facebook under
Okay.
Lovella Mogere. Oh, there you go. There, now we can see your face. So if you want to reach out to her and participate in any of the events that she talked about, well, Apostle, guess what? I got my passport. So I might just stow away in one of the suitcases and just tag along. I'll I'll pay for my what is it, the baggage, the weight of the baggage from the suitcase. Uh-oh, we can't hear you. We can't hear you. Oh, she froze. But nonetheless, I am going to see which one of those trips I can make, if not all of them. And if I'm not there, for sure, in person, I will always support you virtually. Would click in and view anything that you have going on. Coach Danielle, she says yes, part 2 and part 3. So we're going to have a part 2 and a part 3. But we'll do a different type of platform so that you can speak directly to her, address or ask any questions specifically to you, and she can address how to get you from that low level thinking to that high level being all that God wants you to be. So this has been a lit conversation. Dr. V says, oh yeah, yes, it's on now. Yes, it is. Again, thank you all so much for joining us today for this conversation with Kelly. Check my Facebook. I'm going to be posting, I think I posted this week, all of the upcoming podcasts for May and June. So that way you'll be able to mark on your calendar when they're going to be, who is going to be on there. And again, I promise you, they are some powerful, insightful, motivational speakers that will come and transform your life. So this has been another conversation. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button. Comment again. Let me know that you are watching. If you have some suggestions of topics that you would like for us to talk about, shoot me an inbox. Let me know. But again, until next time, you all be blessed. And I love you. And there is nothing you can do about it. God bless. Until next time.